Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Hager number 336G. This is a square edge door filler plate is what it is. It's a hinge filler that is used on what would be considered a universal door or a square edge door, a non-bevel door, a non-handed door is where you'll find this. This is 5-inch tall. So this is going to be used on those applications where you have a door prepped for a 5-inch tall hinge. This would not be used for a frame because it's 1 3/4 wide. Well, a little shy on that, but that's what it's meant for. You wouldn't be able to fit it onto a frame. Well, you could screw it to the frame. It's just going to stick off too far. The thickness of this item is 0.143. 0.143, and that's a good dimension on this because a 5-inch tall hinge is about 146 thousandths, so this is a good dimension for that. So what's the door that you're going to use this on? What is this square door? Well, in the world of hollow metal doors, historically they were always beveled. My experience with hollow metal doors started in 1990, and at that point we were just stocking beveled doors. There was really not a concept of a square edge door that entered our shop. Beveled edge doors means that they're always handed, even if you can take the door, because the hinge locations and the lock location are symmetrical, and flip it over like this, they're still handed because you've got a closer reinforcement, you have maybe a flush top channel, you have an inverted bottom channel, and when you flip that over, your closer's in the wrong location, and you've got an inverted channel at the top. Like back in the old days, a Kiwani 6/8, same with an Amweld, also out of business, or a Steelcraft. You can take that door on a 6/8 and flip it over. When it's a beveled edge door, it'll still fit the frame. It's just not right. On a 7/0 or any other size, you can't do that with because the lock is no longer in the center of the door. So therefore, your inventory was left hands and right hands. Well, in my experience, when Kiwani came out with their VMAX door, that was a square edge door, and that allowed the door to be non-handed because they took that hinge prep, cut it all the way through the door, drilled 8 holes for the hinges when you'd require 4, so you can install the hinge this way or this way, solving that problem. The downside of that is now you've got a square edge door, and that pre-fit size needs to go from 3/16 to 1/4 inch, so 1/8 of an inch on either side. So that was the downside of it. You don't have as nice of a reveal. Plus, on a square edge door, you have the potential for hinge bind, whereas if I have a beveled edge, I don't really run into the jam because I've got a relieved or a beveled edge on my hinge size. And historically, old-time carpenters would think of a wood door as beveled on the lock side only, and they would say, why would you ever bevel it on the hinge side? That's not necessary. Well, okay, I understand. It's nice to have a relief there as well, so that you don't have a potential for hinge bind at all. So you'll have older carpenters that will order wood doors with a bevel on one on the lock style only. That's because as that door closes, you want to have that inside corner of the door not making contact with the frame so that it's relieved, so that you don't have the potential for any sort of conflict or having a margin too small where the door hits the jamb is what I'm driving at. So in the world of hollow metal, you've got a universal door, a square edge door, cut all the way through, left or right hand, and you need to just blank that off. Well, if it's a 5-inch prep and a standard weight hinge, not a heavyweight, here's your hinge plate. This is going to include a couple of screws that will allow you to attach the unit to the door. This would only be used on a door, again, never on a frame. If you are blanking off a frame, you'll need a different plate, maybe 1.5 or 1 5/8. The Hager does, I should say, also has a 5-inch tall plate for beveled edge doors, and that's just 1.5 wide. Let's switch now to the screen view and take a closer look at the supporting documentation. Okay, and here's the item that we are looking at. 336G. We have some extended description information here. Gives us the size, gives us the thickness. That gauge is not right. A 5-inch hinge is thicker than a 134 thousandths. That's the thickness for a 4.5-inch hinge. There's a link here to the product catalog where we can take a look at all of the filler plates available from Hager. So let's just start with the hinges. They are on page 1 and 2. They start here with the 336E, the F, the G, the H, the L, and then the M is here. And the quick summary is that there are 6 of them, 4.5-inch and 5-inch, 2 heights, 3 widths, 1.5 inch, 1.5, inch and 3/4. Okay, so you can do doors and frames with these plates. If it's a frame, generally you're going to see 1.5. Sometimes 1.5 is used for that as well. I like to use the shorter one when someone's applying a continuous geared aluminum hinge, because I find the 1.5, I've seen it stick out a little too far. And then, of course, 1 3/4 for your non-handed square edge doors. Other filler plates, you've got a 161 edge filler, and you've got an 86 edge filler. You've got a 1.5 hole filler and a 2 1/8 hole filler. You have a flush bolt strike filler and a flush bolt filler, flush bolt body filler. You have an 86 to 161 edge adapter to go from a mortise lock to a cylindrical lock. Deadbolt strike filler, ASA filler, T-strike filler. Then you have 4 shims. 4.5 and 5-inch, 128 thousandths and 65 thousandths. 2 different thicknesses. Okay. What's nice about the Hager filler plates is that they don't force you to buy a box of 25. If you need 6, you can buy 6. That's the nice part about what Hager does. Other manufacturers that Hager competes against will be looking to sell you a box of 25. And if you're a hollow metal shop, you're going to use them. It's just, you don't necessarily want to buy a lifetime supply of 5-inch beveled edge 336 H fillers 5 by 1.5 inch when you don't expect to see a beveled hollow metal door with a 5-inch hinge prep in the near future. Anyway, so this document is handy. Now, speaking of handy, we've also taken that document and built a table containing all of that information. And the only reason the table is handy is because it will give you a link directly to those items, the description, where it's used, its size, and then right to the items themselves. Any videos that we have of those items are linked to here. Okay. Well, now, let's take a closer look. They also put a thickness of the material. It's all primed steel. Almost all of it is a typical gray that you'll find on hollow metal work, even though some of their hinge fillers I've seen in a lighter gray. Pioneer historically used a red primer. Almost everyone else uses a shade of a standard gray, like a Krylon 1318 may have been the Krylon color. Krylon 1318? Am I making that up? No, I am not. I remember that. Yeah, Krylon 1318. Is a very good color paint, spray paint for, I'm not sure why it's not showing up. For typical hollow metal. Okay, Krylon 1318. That works in most instances. Another manufacturer, Steelcraft, uses a lighter color, or had at one point. Someone had a lighter color. I thought it was Steelcraft. Anyway, when you click on that link to the manufacturer's page, you'll be able to review not only all of the Hager products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. I would certainly recommend that you review the full product catalog, because it's a few hundred pages simply full of all things builders hardware related. Exit devices, hinges, obviously their namesake Hager hinge, door closers, electrified hardware, lock sets, trim and auxiliary, sliding door hardware, weather stripping, Roton continuous geared hinges, accessory hardware obviously like filler plates. There's also a link to the Hager keying service manual here that I would recommend you review if you are interested at all in the science of locksmithing. And also a link to the 2010 ADA standard for accessible design, because why is that document here? Well, Hager makes products that are very much governed by accessibility in public spaces, like exit devices, like door closers. Well, exit devices would be life safety, which would, well, it does actually govern, because in California, the amount of force it takes to depress the actuating portion of the exit device is governed, but certainly door closers and weather stripping, in fact. The automatic door bottoms can't be surface mounted on the bottom of a door because it encroaches into the space. Obviously, if you needed to find out where to mount grab bars, which Hager does not make, at least not currently, you can find it in there as well. Let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, it's a typical type of hardware, a filler plate. If you're looking at a 5-inch, you may be in the wrong place, though. You might need a 4.5, and I only say that because, obviously, of just simply how much more common a 4.5-inch unit is going to be. So be sure that 5 inches is the correct size that your project requires. The name Hager is synonymous with lots of items in the builder's hardware industry. They have a very loyal client following, and they've been in business since the mid-19th century. When you call there, if you were determined, you would be able to get into there, and there's no reason to do it. But you will find several people with the last name Hager that have telephone extensions there. I don't know that they're on 5 generations, but that would be my guess. It is definitely a family-owned company, and they want to be a large player within the industry. Actually, a fun fact about that, I was recently in a DHI in-person technical school in, I think, Scottsdale is where it was. And I was sitting with an instructor there, 3 instructors in the class, one of them from Hager, just a tremendous individual, absolutely immediate, total, and complete command over the subject matter. And to that gentleman, I say thank you very much for your wisdom and guidance. Any questions on the Hager 330? Actually, finally, I said to him, what's it like working for a company that's been in business for 150 years? And he's like, it's awesome. Any questions on the 336G 5-inch by 1.75-inch door hinge filler or any other Hager product? Please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching. And if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.